Hello gamers of the world, and welcome to my guide. I'm No Pain No Game, and today I'll be showing you how to build a farm that will automatically sustain you forever. I believe this farm is easy enough to build that it's worth having on everybody's survival worlds, and I know that you'll agree once you see how it's done. So yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, just so we're on the same page, I'm going to be building this in creative just so it's easier for me to show you how it's done, but this is 100% doable in survival and shouldn't pose any much of a challenge at all. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to need to build for this farm is going to be the collection system. Without a good collection system, this farm just simply will not work, and it's going to be the hardest part to build anyway, so I think it's worth getting out of the way first. Okay, so the way that I like to do this is I like to dig 3 holes just like this, and we are going to do that 9 times going that way. Okay, a little forewarning, this is not going to be a cheap build. Everything here is going to be like a lot of wood, a lot of iron, a lot of redstone. Like everything about this is going to be expensive with the exception of like the actual farming part itself. But the collection system's not cheap. So if you need to make it smaller, make it smaller. I'm sure you'll be able to figure out exactly how I'm making it, and you'll be able to scale up the size depending on what you need. And the farm size itself will actually vary depending on if you're playing single player, if you're playing multiplayer with friends, if you're on Anarchy, any of that. Like that will change how big you want to make this farm. But anyways, for the basic little setup we have here in the beginning, go ahead and set up 9 chests going across just like this, and behind the 9 chests we are going to put 9 hoppers. As you can see, I already started over there. Just crouch and look between if you can. Just double check that they're all going into the chest, which all of mine are, and from here you're going to want to put 2 more chests right on top just like that, and we're going to go across all these and do the same. From here again, we're going to put all these hoppers feeding into these chests from behind. And for the final layer, let's go ahead on top of these and add 1 more layer of chests just like so. Okay, and now behind these chests right here, it's going to be 2 layers of hoppers just like this. On top of the second layer of hoppers in the back, go ahead and place hoppers going into them. And on the top layer of hoppers, go ahead and put 2 more feeding into those. Just go ahead and make sure that all the hoppers are facing in the right direction, which it looks like all of mine are. Your next step is pretty simple. Go ahead and place a temporary block there, 1 more building block on top. Does not matter what kind of block it is as long as it's solid. I'm using gold because it's really easy for you to see how many blocks I'm placing exactly, but I'm going to go ahead 9 across, all the way across. Oops, didn't mean to do that, but across just like this, and on top of here we are going to be placing levers. I have to interject here. As much as I want the levers to look like this, it actually does get in the way of the build. So sorry about that, but we're going to have to go ahead and get rid of all of these levers, which is most likely going to stop these minecarts, even if it doesn't. Yeah, there it goes. But we're going to have to... Ooh, sorry about that, sir. We're going to have to get rid of all of these levers, and we're going to have to place them on this side of the gold instead. I know, I'm sorry, it doesn't look nearly as good, but we do need the space above these blocks for our build, so as much as it sucks, it's a necessity. That are turned on facing that way. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and count 9 blocks, including these 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just like that. And as you'll see there, we're going to place 1 piece of redstone block. I don't know why I said it like that. And then we're going to count 9 more, which is out to here. Temporary block, 1 on top. And you'll see what we're going to do here. Lever on top, flick it on, make sure they're facing each other, because I think we could all agree this looks really nice. But yeah, go ahead and repeat that, and then as you'll see here, we're going to go ahead and add our powered rails. Before you go any further, just do yourself a favor, go to all of these hoppers. I mean, you could only test 1 if you're 100% certain that they're all facing the right direction, but go ahead and put an item in one of these hoppers and make sure that it lines up perfectly and winds up in the chest directly beneath it. If so, then you're doing great. But yeah, the next step that we're going to do is add the powered rails, as I said, and it's pretty simple how to do this. I mean, it's not too hard once you know how they work, but go ahead and do the first line just like that, and don't start with this block, start with that block, then connect it, then go down. Otherwise, what you'll get is that, and we don't want that. So go ahead and add your powered rails just like this all the way across, and hopefully avoid doing that as much as you can. Okay, moment of truth. When all is said and done, you should be able to place a minecart hopper up against one of these blocks. It should go all the way across and all the way back without you having to do a thing. It might get a little loud over here, but we're going to go ahead and add all of our minecart hoppers. And again, I apologize for it being so loud. I know it's probably going to be a bit annoying from here on out, but this is a necessary part of the collection system. And with that, boom, your collection system's done. This is a well-oiled collecting machine. I know it's expensive with all these hoppers, and trust me, I get it. Between the iron and the wooden survival, it's not always the easiest to get together, but with the new 1.17 Caves and Cliffs update, I think we could all agree it's a lot easier to get things like iron, and, you know, there are farms out there for wood and everything else, which I will make tutorials on in the future if that's something that you're interested in. As you can see over there, I do like to build machines in creative to make for my survival worlds. So yeah, anyways, let's get into the farm itself. Okay, to start off, what you're going to want to do is take any light block you have. It could be a jack-o'-lantern, it could be glowstone. I like shroom light. Go ahead and take any light block you have and go ahead and line all of the top layers you want here. Okay, I just wanted to take a minute to interject here. What you're seeing here is about the size I would build if you're playing with 1 or 2 friends, but if you're playing by yourself in a solo single player survival, there's no reason that you should build more than 2 tiers of these, at least in my opinion. And if you wanted to expand, say you're playing with more players, I'd say the max you'd ever need, even with a large group, is probably 5 or 6. It's going to be expensive again for the collection system, but again, it'll be worth it, I promise. This farm is super efficient, and this will get you all the materials you need, from carrots to wheat to you name it, potatoes. It's got it all. It's not going to be, I mean, you can use this collection system for other farms, but what we're building today is not going to be for melons or pumpkins or anything like that. But I can show you the most efficient pumpkin farm that you can build in Minecraft. I've built it myself plenty of times. If you guys are interested in that, go ahead and leave a like in the comment down below to let me know. And by the way, this is my first video, so if you appreciate me, go ahead and hit subscribe from helping you out. Thank you. Okay, and once you're done with those over there, go ahead and line up your light blocks on this layer right here. It might be difficult in survival, but you're going to want to do the same right here, directly parallel of the redstone. I will go ahead and say that this much light is not 100% necessary, but I do like the way it looks, and I think that you will too, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it. From here, go ahead on the outside, place 1 temporary block. You could break it afterward, and go ahead and do the same thing here. Again, that's going to be a temporary block, and we will cover the edges just like that, and go ahead and do the same thing in between. We'll start at this end, go ahead and place a temporary block, place 1. We're going to go all the way down just like this, and you can see what we're doing here. This is going to be the outline of all of our farms themselves. Okay, I tried my best to turn down the minecarts, but without completely negating all of my game volume, I don't think it's going to be possible. So, I'm sorry, but they need a setting for this. Okay, when you're done, you'll be left with something like this, and you can already see it's starting to look pretty beautiful. Alright, what we're going to want to do now is fill all the space in between here, with the exception of the middle block, with nothing but dirt. Okay, when you're done with that, it should look like this, and go ahead and do that to all of the chambers that you have created. Okay, this is what it's going to look like when you're done with that, and I think we could all agree this looks pretty awesome. The next step, which is a very important one, is going to be you taking a slab of choice and placing it halfway down this hole just like that. There has to be a little pocket here. If you don't do that right, then this farm isn't going to work at all. So go ahead, make sure you place your slabs just like that, and do that to every single one of these holes. After you're done that, go ahead and take a water bucket and fill each and every one of these holes, and you'll go ahead and see that the water isn't going down and destroying the tracks, but it's still able to feed your plants. After you're done with that, go ahead and grab your handy dandy hoe and get to tilling. So once you're done tilling all that land, go ahead and be careful not to stomp on it to destroy it, but place a composter on top of each of these water blocks, and you'll see that the water is still underneath. And on top of that, go ahead and place your light block of whatever choice. It can't hurt. It can be any other block. There's going to be enough light around here to make that not necessary, but again, it can't hurt. Okay, now that that's done, go ahead and take a trap door of choice and go completely around the top and make it look like a little farmer's hat. Just make sure that the trap door is lined up with the top of the block and not anywhere else. Okay, when that's done, it'll look a little something like this. And now that that's complete, go ahead and take some glass, and we're going to actually section off these as rooms now. Everywhere you see your light block of choice, just go ahead and drop a piece of glass on top of it. Make sure it's not glass that's going to prevent the light from passing through in 1.17. Can't be tinted glass, but just any other glass should work. As long as light can pass through it, you should be good. But go ahead and do that across this entire thing, and we're going to do that 2 layers high. Sorry about that. We're actually going to go 3 high with the glass. 2 high just isn't going to be enough. I think that they need a certain amount of space to actually be able to work, if I remember correctly, or maybe that's just to get them to breed. But either way, I don't want to take any chances. We're going to go 3 high with the glass. Okay, here's the moment where you're actually going to want to pause, and you're going to want to not only fill each one of these chambers with a crop of choice, but before I would even do that, I would go ahead and put your villagers in now. If you didn't know, by the way that this was set up and the way that we've been building this farm is 100% automated by villagers. They will be doing all of your work, and you won't have to worry about a thing. It's going to be great. So yeah, go ahead, and if you're in survival, place in all of your villagers. It's going to be a lot harder for you on survival than it is for me in creative, but again, this is just the easiest way for me to show you. I'm sure you know how to get a villager into a minecart so you can plop them in here, but I recommend getting the villagers in first before you plant. But now that it's time to plant, let me explain to you what I think you should put in each of these chambers. So I would dedicate probably one of these to just wheat, and the rest of these I would, if you're making 3, 2 of these to wheat because of breeding and everything else, but the rest of it I would pick a food between carrots and potatoes. I'll explain right now that I think carrots are the superior race when it comes to what you should be farming in Minecraft. The reason being, gold is not hard to come by right now with the ability to make all kinds of insanely efficient gold farms out there, which I can make tutorials on in the future if that has any demand. But with how easy it is to come by gold in Minecraft 1.17, I think that it's more efficient to plant carrots. That way you can make golden carrots because they are easily the best food in the game. But say you don't have the patience to build a gold farm and you don't feel like going through all that effort, I recommend instead planting potatoes, because if you plant potatoes, what you'll find is that you can bake them in a furnace, and they're not bad food, but again, they're not nearly as good as golden carrots. So I highly recommend planting carrots. So if you have a 3-tier setup just like I do here, I recommend these 2 to have wheat for breeding and whatever else you might need it for, and even just trades if necessary. And then I recommend having the other 4 dedicated for just food. That way you and your team, or even if it's just you with the 2-man chamber, you need to have food set up automated. That way you don't have to think about it, and you can just keep doing what you want to do every time you're playing Minecraft. But say you have a 2-tier setup and this is survival, I recommend having only one chamber for wheat, and the other 3 I would recommend to be your food. But anyways, what's going to happen here, all these villagers are going to take all of what you plant in here, they're going to plant it, they're going to fill up their inventories, and that's going to take time. So if you want to speed this up, if say for the wheat, plant all the seeds that you want and then just keep throwing wheat at the villager until his inventory's full. And when his inventory's full, then it'll start right away automatically collecting all of your crops. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plant wheat here. I'm going to plant carrots in these 4. Then I'm going to give these guys a bunch of wheat and a bunch of seeds, and I'm going to give these guys a bunch of carrots. And what that's going to do, hopefully I could actually do that because the minecarts might grab it, but what that's going to do is that's going to make it to where this farm can start immediately. So let me go ahead and plant all that, and I'll get to you when I'm done. Okay, sadly for all of us, I'm not going to be able to give the carrots to the villagers, or the seeds to the villagers, or the wheat to the villagers. I'm not going to be able to do any of that because of the collection system, which means you won't be able to either. If I can't creative, you can't. Although actually, thanks to these handy dandy switches, we could stop the collection system, and we could do it anyway. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I gave each of the villagers about 3 stacks of items. Not sure if that's enough, but I'm sure it's close enough. to where it won't take too long. At this point, I have to give the farm time to grow, but while that's happening and while everything is turned off so it's not as noisy, let's go ahead and take a minute to put a roof on this, shall we? What I want to do for the roof is I want to take our building block of choice once again, and I'm going to go on top of all of this glass just once. This is important to give them space, as I mentioned earlier. It might get in the way of them working. So yeah, go ahead and build one up again with your building block of choice. My only recommendation to fill in the rest of the roof, you could fill in the space in between and you can make it look like completely flat, that's fine. Or you could do something nice, just don't use a flammable block. Whatever you do, just don't use a flammable block. But it is important that a roof does go over these guys and that they're not connected to the outside world outside of their little boxes, because should you be around here, should you have phantoms chasing you, the phantoms are going to scare the villagers and that's going to interrupt them farming. So you want to do everything you can to prevent anything like that from happening. So I might just go ahead and fill in all this space between. Maybe I'll put a cute little design in, who knows. Okay, as you can see, I have my roof done. Again, it doesn't have to be anything special. I just think that this is not only expensive but beautiful. And now all I have to do is wait for all these crops to grow, which obviously is going to take some time. Luckily for us, they're going to be growing non-stop around the clock because we have all this light around them. So we won't have to worry about any of that. As you can see, some of the wheat is already starting to mature. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wait for all of these crops to mature just so I could see what these rates are going to be. And I'm probably going to speed it up with a little bit of bone meal because why want to tie? But I'm going to wait to see how efficient this is going to be so I can get some accurate rates for you guys. So yeah, if you like this so far and if this has been helping you so far, this is something that you want to build, then go ahead and drop a like. Now remember, when you're on your survival world, you're going to have to wait for these inventories of these villagers to be completely full before any of this matters. Like even with me, I've already given them several stacks of items, but I'm most likely going to have to wait until they completely cap their inventories. Although, as you can see, Homeboy's already farming, which is pretty awesome. And it definitely might be easier to just completely turn off the collection system until their inventories are completely full. It's most likely the best way to go about it, so that's what I recommend. Okay, it's been exactly 1 hour, so I'm going to go ahead and turn all of the switches off so that we don't collect any more items, and we will see what our yield is. Alright, I'm just going to go down the line and pick up everything I see in the chest. As you can see ahead of time, I do not have anything in my inventory, so this is 100% what I got in 1 hour. Okay, as you can see, the yield in 1 hour is almost fantastic, I might even say. Now, this is 1 hour after the villagers already had a full inventory, but this is 1 hour of full inventory, maximum efficiency villagers of the setup I have here. This is more than enough wheat to get your breeding going and to continue your breeding. These seeds you could put into an auto composter, tutorial in the future if you want it, but you could put the seeds in an auto composter and you could have a ton of bone meal. But yeah, there's a lot you can do with this farm. Obviously, it is pretty sweet. You can turn it on and off. I recommend just letting it run at all times, to be honest. I know that the noise can be a lot, but this farm is like entirely too good for you to stop running it. But yeah, everybody, this has been my first video. This has been a tutorial on a wheat farm that everybody needs in their survival world, and I really hope that it was helpful for you guys. If it was, please leave a subscription, like the video, comment down below, recommendations, anything that you want to see, any guides that you need. I'm doing more than just Minecraft, but I'll leave that for a different time. Other than that, guys, I really appreciate your time. Have a nice day, everybody, and peace out.